name is Tori Ferguson, and I did the ADA for my ADEA for my Chapter 2 Assignment A, because that's what I was assigned. So for Assignment B, I get to talk about an ADEA case, and the interesting case that I found is Braden versus Lockheed Martin. So Braden versus Lockheed Martin starts out with Robert Braden, who was the plaintiff, and he was 66 and had been working for Lockheed Martin, started in the RCA, but through mergers, he ended up at Lockheed Martin for 17 years, which is a very long time to be in one position, or not one position, but with one company, going through positions, like rising through the corporate ladder. So pretty much I found this interesting because he's just a normal employee climbing the ladder. So it starts out, he is 66 years old at the time of his termination. And he had gained his senior position and had been working there for several years as a project specialist, which is a higher position in Lockheed Martin that is a small team that works on promotions. So at the age of 66, he was fired in routine layoffs, which is unusual because he'd been working since 1984 and it was 2012. And you would think, well, I'll get into that later. So there are 110 project specialists within the entire company of Lockheed Martin, and 5 were routinely laid off, and they were all over the age of 50, including Braden. So within his team, like his specific team and his branch, he was the oldest of 7, and he was the only one fired on his team. And he was also paid less than his entire team, which were all younger than him. So financially, the court determined that was age discrimination, despite the defense that he was hard to work with and had been at the company too long. That was their exact defense, and that just screams age discrimination, because if he'd been at the company too long, that literally says you're old. That their defense literally was pretty much you're old, but they were trying to disguise it and say that he'd just been working there too long and that he was hard to work with because of this, which it doesn't say anything about his attitude in this particular case study, but they had lowered his review rating, and they declined to give him a good reason. They didn't explain to him why his review rating had dropped so much, which apparently has to do with age as well, and was more evidence in Braden's case. So the court decided that defense was bad and ruled in favor of Braden. And the finances, I didn't write them down because I want to read them specifically off my computer. But they said, and I quote, "After the 4-day trial, the jury found in favor of Braden and awarded him over $51 million. That's another reason I thought this case was so interesting, because that is a severe payout. So $520,000 was back pay for the ADEA. Another $520,000 was awarded for back pay damages that were willful and subject to doubling. And then another $520,000 was awarded for pain and emotional distress to Braden. And then the $50 million in general in punitive damages were assessed under the New Jersey Civil Rights, I think. It says NJLAD. Yeah, the New Jersey law against discrimination. That's what I thought. So, yeah. So pretty much paid him substantial money, as well as his back pays to cover, the people who fought for him and the laws involved, because Lockheed Martin decided to terminate him after he turned 66, with no solid evidence that he was a bad employee. Age discrimination. So that was the financials, and I was getting into why I found this interesting and why I agree with the ruling. So I find this interesting because he literally was just climbing the corporate ladder, and that's something that's typically favored or preferred, an experienced worker when it comes to hiring. They're like, oh, he has experience, he's been with us a long time, keep him. He's, usually that's a valued member of your team, but they decided that age was suddenly a factor and fired him, which is why I found that so interesting, why I agree so much with this. So, good for Braden. He deserves his money and a job, just like any other older employee.